Welcome to City Lights, everybody. I'm Peter Maravellis. I'm the events director here at City Lights, welcoming you to this very auspicious occasion to have Mosab Abu Toha with us here tonight, celebrating this amazing new book. Is such a blessing, and we are ever grateful to be able to have him joining us, reading poetry, being with us. For those of you online, hello and welcome. As always, we are beaming to you from the unceded ancestral homelands of the Ohlone people. I just want to take a moment to acknowledge that, offer some respect to those who have come before us as stewards of the land. To get the evening started, I would like to welcome now our executive director and the director of publishing for City Lights, Elaine Katzenberger, to start the evening.
Welcome, everybody. This is a really, really big night for all of us. And I just want to say it's really beautiful that you're all here, and all of you people who are with us online too. I know that we've been waiting for this. I just want to say a few words. I know you're not here to see me. Mosab Abu Toha is a dear friend of mine. I met him because we published this book, his first book, Things You May Find Hidden in Mountains. Mosab obviously is a poet, he's an essayist, he's an educator, and now he is a de facto ambassador for his people. If you're following Mosab on Instagram or any social media, or just the media, you know that Mosab is working tirelessly to speak about what is happening to the people of Gaza. And his ability to speak about this is, I think, uniquely effective. His voice manages to get through in ways that oftentimes that voice doesn't, in this country especially. We found out with his poetry, you know, when these poems were first brought to our attention, this was in the spring of April 2021. And for people who remember, at that time, it was what seemed like the most brutal siege of Gaza that had happened in quite a while. We were pretty desperate to do something, and these poems came our way from a dear friend of ours both, Amiel Alcalay. And Amiel, I know you're here tonight. And immediately it was like, we're doing this. This is something we can do. And this poetry speaks to people, and it opens people's hearts in a way that is profound. The amount of, we were just upstairs, Mosab was signing piles of books, which will be ready for you after the event. And he's doing that everywhere he goes. You know, poetry is sometimes a rarefied form, and it's not necessarily something that sells books in huge quantities, but what we have seen is that this book is in huge demand, and it's because people need it. I just want to say that tonight is a homecoming. The last time Mosab was here was in December of 2022. And that was shortly after we published his first book. That book went on to win the Palestine Book Award, the Derek Walcott Prize, as a finalist for the National Book Critics Circle, won the American Book Award. All of these things were happening in that year after it was published. And then Mosab was supposed to come here in October of 2023 to accept the American Book Award, but he went back home. And then we all know what happened after that. As soon as that event happened and the assault on Gaza began, this book began to be in a demand that we could not satisfy quickly enough, and it has never stopped. Now tonight, we're here to celebrate his new book, Forest of Noise. And from what I understand, that book was published just 3 weeks ago. It's already sold through its first printing. What you have here tonight are first edition, if you purchase a copy here. But that book has sold through its first printing already and is in its second and its third. So this has not stopped for him. The amount of grace and resilience and strength that it takes for him to do what he does every day has always been something that I don't understand how he musters it. So tonight I want us to remember that we are here to lift him up, to give him strength, and tell him how much we appreciate him. And everything else that is going on is the context for this. But right now we have this beautiful soul with us, and it is an honor. And please give a warm welcome to my dear Mosab.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much, Elaine. I want people to see my face and see everyone here. Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Elaine. A big thanks to City Lights and the team here, especially Peter, Stacy. While I was sitting here listening to Elaine talking about me, I couldn't but imagine myself being buried under the rubble with my family after our house was bombed on October 28th, because I could be under the rubble and people are talking about me just the way they are talking about Rifat al-Ar'ir, God bless his soul, and there's so many other poets and journalists and doctors, some of whom were abducted from hospitals and they were tortured until death, like Dr. Adnan al-Burj, one of the finest surgeons in the Gaza Strip. So I put myself in this position, being under the rubble and people talking about me and my visits. And I'm sure that the souls of everyone who we lost is with us this night, listening to us. I'm writing poetry about them. Some of them passed away, and some of them, unfortunately, will be killed as we are speaking in North Gaza and Beit Lahia. Some of them are relatives of mine. Some of them are my immediate family in Beit Lahia in Gaza, in South Gaza too. My wife's immediate family are in North Gaza, along with about 100,000 other people, with no food for about 25 days, with no medicine, with no fuel. The last time fuel entered, as I mentioned to Elaine and other friends, the last time fuel entered the North Gaza to hospitals was on October 5th, about a month from now. The Israeli army set on fire the last fire truck there was on North Gaza. I watched videos of my people being killed in Beit Lahi and Jabalia, and it's not like before, because I'm not seeing any doctors, any paramedics, any fire trucks, any rescue teams. So people right now are not only killed, but they are also deprived of the chance of being rescued. So before I start reading, I have put together a 9-minute video of some videos that I took in Gaza. The first video that you will see, I took it in May 2021. I just wanted to show it to you. There is nothing horrible about it except for the sound and also the scene of the flames, because after that night, May 11th, 2021, I wrote a poem about a family who was killed in that airstrike, and I will read it. It's called Shrapnel Looking for Laughter, and it was published in this book, which is very dear to my heart. And then the rest of the videos were taken in November and also in October last year while I was in Gaza. So I think I put some captions so you will know what's happening. لا إله إلا الله
إله إلا الله. لا إله إلا الله. لا إله إلا الله.
تعال تعال تعال. ضربة يا عمي.
هيا مين أولاده جديد؟
وين؟
أولاده جديد تحت الردم. أولاده جديد.
يا عم بس اقف. هيا
يلا بدي أروح.
خد على الدار.
عايش الولد عايش؟ في هان خطة يا عمي، في خطة جوا هان. يا عم تعبان وين يجي يا عم؟ تعالوا هلا شباب، انا بقول خشوا تحت السقف بلاش تصير شظايا.
اذكر الله احنا غاطسين بين المباني.
كثير يلا.
اذكر الله وخلاص يا جماعه.
احنا مبدئيا يعني نقعد هلا احتياط.
تجي شيء من فوق.
الطلبات ما لهاش صارت زي هيك علينا، الله اعلم. قصة المدافع هذا طيران طبعا. هاي المدفع، هذه مفهومة. صار شقتين.
ما فيش فيها ضرر يا ما فيش فيها ضرر هيك صحيح في حد ضايل مكانه اوف بس ما فيش حدا يخبط هالدبابة الله اعلم ايش بصير قاعد ما بعرفش ايش فيه شكلهم بحوطوا في المنطقة لأن الضرب بدأ كالتالي المدفع كله بقى يشتغل هيك بعديها انتقل هيك وبدأ معاه الطيران الجوي وهي لقيت راح هناك هاي كمان واحدة حكيت لك بعدين بيعملوا هيك في حالة فهمت علي؟ أول ما صارت كل الدب دب 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 بعديها مشى هنا So this was November 17th, my birthday. And the next day, November 18th, I walked out of the school when the school shelter where my wife's grandparents and some of her uncles were staying at was bombed and about 50 people were killed in the school. And that's when I decided to leave North Gaza for the south, where the Rafah border crossing is. And some of you know that I was on the way. I was abducted by the Israeli army. I was handcuffed and blindfolded and beaten. I was taken into Israel. For the first time in my life, I could set my foot in my homeland. And that was the case of so many other people who were abducted from hospitals, from the school shelters. Later, this same school was burnt by the Israeli forces. So what I'm going to do is reading some poems. I mean, I will read mainly from the new book, but I will read the poem about the family, Tanani family, who were killed in one of the airstrikes from the first video that I showed you. The whole family, the parents and their 4 children, the oldest was 10 years old. Shrapnel looking for laughter. The house has been bombed. Everyone's dead. The kids, the parents, the toys, the actors on TV, characters in novels, personas in poetry collections, the I, the he, and the she. No pronouns left, not even for kids when they learn parts of speech next year. Shrapnel flies in the dark. Shrapnel flies in the dark, looks for the family's peals of laughter hiding behind piles of disfigured walls and bleeding picture frames. The radio no longer speaks. Its batteries have burned. The antenna is broken. Even the broadcaster felt the pain when the radio was hit. Even we, hearing the bomb as it fell, threw ourselves to the ground, each of us counting the others around them. We were safe, but our hearts still ache. So we was the we in 2021. Many of the people in the we, more than 40,000 people, according to the numbers that were buried. Just a few days ago, Abu Nasser family from Jabalia camp, 200 people were staying in the same building. People who, members of the family who used to live in one place but had to stay with others because the tanks were there. 200 people were killed. The family was able only to bury 125 people. The 70 others are still under the rubble. So that was Shrapnel looking for laughter from things you may find hidden in my ear. The other poem I would like to read before I start reading from my new book is A Litany for One Land, after Audre Lorde. For those living on the other side, we can see you. We can see the rain when it pours on our fields, on our valleys, and when it slides down the roofs of your modern houses built atop our homes. Can you take off your sunglasses and look at us here? See how the rain has flooded our streets. See how the children's umbrellas have been pierced by a prickly downpour on their way to school. The trees you see have been watered with our tears. They bear no fruit. The red roses take their color from our blood. They smell of death. The river that separates us from you is just a mirage you created when you expelled us. It is one land. For those who are standing on the other side, shooting at us, spitting on us, how long can you stand there, fenced by hate? Are you going to keep your black glasses on until you're unable to put them down? Soon, we won't be here for you to watch. It won't matter if you blink your eyes or not, if you can stand or not. You won't cross that river to take more lands because you will vanish into your mirage. You can't build a colony on our graves. And when we die, our bones will continue to grow, to reach and intertwine with the roots of the olive and orange trees, to bathe in the sweet Yafa Sea. One day we will be born again when you are not there, because this land knows us. She is our mother. When we die, we are just resting in her womb until the darkness is cleared. For those who are not here anymore, we have been here forever. We have been speaking, but you never cared to listen. We have been speaking, Kamala Harris. This was 2021, 22, sorry. But many poems were written in 2015, 16, 17. So now this book, half of the poems were written before October 7th, which means the other half were written after. And I would recommend that anyone who buys this book, buy this book, because they are one piece. They're about the same people, the same blood, the same killer. My dreams as a child. I still have dreams about a room filled with toys my mother always promised we could have if we were rich. I still have dreams about seeing the refugee camp from a window on a plane. I still have dreams about seeing my favorite, the animals I learned about in 3rd grade, elephant, giraffe, kangaroo, and wolf. I still have dreams about running for miles and miles with no border blocking my feet, with no unexploded bombs scaring me off. I still have dreams about my favorite team playing soccer on the beach, me waiting for the ball to come my way and run away with it. I dream still about my grandfather, how much I want to pick oranges with him in Yafa. But my grandfather died. Yafa is occupied, and oranges no longer grow in his weeping groves. We are looking for Palestine. That was written before October 7th. And also my dreams. I had the dreams before October 7th, but no one paid attention. We are looking for Palestine. The sun rises and moves around. It sets to visit other places. And we are looking for Palestine. The birds wake up and look for food. They chirp on the blossoming trees laden with fruit, with peaches, apples, apricots, and oranges. And we are looking for Palestine. The sea waves lap against the shore. They glitter and dance with the fishers' boats. And we are looking for Palestine. People travel to relatives and friends. They book round-trip tickets, stuff their suitcases with gifts and books and clothes, and we are looking for Palestine. Sir, we have no airports and seaports, no trains or highways. We have no passable roads, sir. We do have crutches and wheelchairs. Young men with one or no legs, no longer able to work, as if there was work. We travel to the West Bank or Egypt for surgery, even to set a broken leg. But we need a permit to enter. We stuff our suitcases with pictures and memories. They feel heavy on the ground We can't carry them, neither can the roads. They scar the surface of the earth. We get lost in the present, past, and the future. When a child is born, we feel sad for him or her. A child is born here to suffer, sir. A mother feels the great pain in labor. A child cries after leaving her dark space. In Palestine, our dark is not safe. In Palestine, children always cry. If we want to travel, we leave many times. In Gaza, you leave by either Erez or Rafah, a hard escape to make. So we search for the visa interview. Cairo, Istanbul, Amman, but not in Palestine. We don't have embassies there. We do, with the one in Jerusalem is farther than the Andromeda galaxy. Andromeda is 2.5 million light years away, but our years stay heavy and dark. It would take trillions of years. Sir, we are not welcome anywhere. Only cemeteries don't mind our bodies. We no longer look for Palestine. Our time is spent dying. Soon, Palestine will look for us. Soon, Palestine will search for us, for our whispers, for our footsteps, our fading pictures fallen off blown up walls. My library, books here. I wrote this before October 7th when there was an airstrike close to our house, and one of the books fell off the shelves. It was Edward Said's Out of Place. So this is the background story. My library. My books remain on the shelves as I left them last year, but all the words have died. I search for my favorite book, Out of Place. I find it lying lonely in a drawer next to the photo album and my old Nokia phone. The pen inside the book is still intact, but some ink drops have leaked. Some words breathe its ink. The pen like a ventilator for a dozen patients. Home, Jerusalem, the sea, Haifa, the rock, the pigeons, the oranges, the sand, Cairo, my mother, Beirut, books, the rock, the sea, the sea. I will reserve this poem to the end before I finish reading. This one was written after May 2021 attacks. What a Gazan should do during an Israeli airstrike. So all the things that I'm mentioning here cannot work during this ongoing genocide. What a Gazan should do during an Israeli airstrike. Turn off the lights in every room, sit in the inner hallway of the house, away from the windows. Stay away from the stove. Stop thinking about making black tea. Have a bottle of water nearby big enough to cool down children's fear. Get a child's kindergarten backpack and stuff tiny toys and whatever amount of money there is, and ID cards and photos of late grandparents, aunts or uncles, and the grandparents' wedding invitation that's been kept for a long time. And if you are a farmer, you should put some strawberry seeds in one pocket and some soil from the balcony flower pot in the other, and hold on tight to whatever number there was on the cake from the last birthday. And if you are wondering, you see videos of people in Gaza evacuating their houses, and they are always carrying on their backs some backpacks, because we don't have airports, we don't have suitcases. So the only thing where we can put our clothes and bottles of water, medicine, toys for kids are our children's backpacks. And there is a poem about a father and his daughter who were killed in the street. And they were wearing their backpacks. The father was wearing a backpack and the daughter was wearing a backpack, and they were killed in the street and their body was left there in the street. And then I showed some folks before I came here a video. I watched a video which I saw again happening to another person of some starving cats feeding on the body of someone who was killed in the street. So the poem is called The Moon, and it's about these two pictures. The moon. She is lying on the asphalt, her small belly, her chest, her forehead, her hands, her cold feet bare in the night. A hungry cat paces. Shrapnel rings as it hits neighboring houses already bombed. The hungry cat sees the girl, her wounds still warm, hungrier. The girl's father lies next to her on his back. The backpack he wears still has the girl's favorite candy and a small toy. The girl was waiting till they arrived to eat her lollipop. The cat gets close to try the flesh. A bomb pounds the street. No flesh, no girl, no father, no cat. Nobody is hungry. The moon overhead is not the moon. There is a story behind this poem because it's happening every day, and it's about the families whose bodies remain under the rubble until now. I have a very good friend of mine who was an avid reader of Arabic literature, Ismail Abu Ghabin, and he also used to teach Arabic language in an honor school next to us. Ismail was living in North Gaza, and when Israel asked everyone in North Gaza to evacuate, he evacuated with his parents and his wife and his two kids, Rimi and Osama. Osama was 2 years old, Rimi was 5. And he also evacuated with his 5 sisters. November last year, after I was released by the Israeli forces, 5 days after that, and before I left Gaza, the house where Ismail and all his family were sheltering was bombed. The only survivors were Ismail's wife and 2 of his sisters. This is one thing. The other thing is that the body of Ismail, the body of his father, the body of his sister, Ikram, 15 years old, are still under the rubble as we are speaking. So a year. So this poem is called Right or Left, and it's about the children and their families whose bodies remained under the rubble because this is a genocide. Right or left. Under the rubble, her body has remained for days and days. When the war ends, we try to remove the rubble, stone after stone. We only find one small bone from her body. It is a bone from her arm. Right or left, it does not matter as long as we cannot find the henna from her neighbor's wedding on her skin, or an ink from a school pen on a little index finger. Ramadan 2024. Around that dinner table, missing are the chairs where my mother, my father, and my little sister used to sit with us on Fridays, and where my siblings and their kids used to drink tea at sunset when they visited. No one is here anymore, not even the sunset. In the kitchen, the table is missing. In the house, the kitchen is missing. In the house is missing. Only rubble stays, waiting for a sunrise. I will read this because I'm in this store after Allen Ginsberg. He was reading late. I saw the best minds of my generations destroyed in a tent, looking for water and diapers for kids, destroyed by bombs, a generation under the rubble of their bombed houses. I saw the best brains of my generation protruding from their slashed heads. Okay. I wrote this again before October 7th. Request letter. He pens a quick letter on paper, a letter as plain in regard to form as possible with no white spaces, and throws it in the graveyard at night. Angel of death, when you collect the souls of those killed in an airstrike, do you mind leaving a sign for us so we know who is who? because last time my old kindergarten teacher couldn't recognize her daughter's face, which ear or arm or bloody finger on the dusty street was hers. And a father wouldn't recognize which was his child if it wasn't for the size of shoes, 28 European size, still on the sole, that he bought her for the new school year. On the back of the paper, he pens the same letter in Arabic, because who could know what language the angel of death uses, the most spoken language in the world, or the language of God, to us at least. إلى ملك الموت. عندما تجمع أرواح من قتلوا في الغارة الجوية، هل تمانع بأن تترك لنا إشارة تدلنا على من هو من؟ لأنه في المرة الماضية لم تستطع معلمتي الكبيرة أيام الروضة أن تتعرف على وجه ابنتها أية أذن أو ذراع أو أصبع مدمي في الشارع المغبر كان لابنتها. وكذا أب لم يستطع أن يعرف أية طفلة كانت ابنته لولا حجم الحذاء. 28 بالمقياس الأوروبي كان منقوشا على نعل الحذاء الذي اشتراه لها في العام الدراسي الجديد. Okay, I will end with the long poem Under the Rubble. Under the rubble. She slept on her bed, never woke up again. Her bed has become her grave, a tomb beneath the ceiling of her room. The ceiling, a cenotaph. No name, no year of birth, no year of death, no epitaph, only blood and a smashed picture frame in ruin next to her. In Jabalia camp, a mother collects her daughter's flesh in a piggy bank, hoping to buy her a plot on a river in a faraway land. A group of mute people were talking sign. When a bomb fell, they fell silent. It rained again last night. The new plant looked for an umbrella in the garage. The bombing got intense, and our house looked for a shelter in the neighborhood. I leave the door to my room open so the words in my books, the titles and names of authors and publishers could flee when they hear the bombs. I became homeless once, but the rubble of my city covered the streets. They could not find a stretcher to carry your body. They put you on a wooden door they found under the rubble, your neighbors, a moving wall. The scars on our children's faces will look for you. Our children's amputated legs will run after you. This is the poem I told you, the part I told friends about. I wrote this section back in January or February, and the same thing happened again 5 days ago when two fathers were killed in front of a school shelter in a Shati camp where I was born, 1992, still young. And around their bodies, there were loaves of bread. They were trying to help their kids survive. But this is not allowed. You are living under occupation. It's not allowed to try and help your children to survive. He left the house to buy some bread for his kids. News of his death made it home, but not the bread. No bread. Death sits to eat whoever remains of the kids. No need for a table. No need for bread. A father wakes up at night, sees the random colors on the walls drawn by his 4-year-old daughter. The colors are about 4 feet high. Next year, they would be 5. But the painter has died in an airstrike. There are no colors anymore. There are no walls. I changed the order of my books on the shelves. 2 days later, the war broke out. Beware of changing the order of your books. What are you thinking? What thinking? What you? You? Is there still you? Are you there? Where should people go? This is a question everyone in Gaza. I mean, where do we go? We leave our home in Gaza, in our home to a school shelter. The school gets bombed. We go to a hospital. The hospital gets bombed. We go a tent. You saw Shaban al-Dalo, who was burnt in the tent in Deir al-Balah Hospital, Shuhada al-Aqsa. I mean, people are buried in the cemeteries, and Israel raises the grave. I mean, where should people go exactly? We don't know. Where should people go? Should they build a big ladder and go up? But heaven has been blocked by the drones and F-16s and the smoke of death. My son asks me whether, when we return to Gaza, I could get him a puppy. I say I promise, if we can find any. I ask my son if he wishes to become a pilot when he grows up. He says he won't wish to drop bombs on people and houses. Last one. When we die, our souls leave our bodies, take with them everything they loved in our bedrooms, the perfume bottles, the makeup, the necklaces, the pens. In Gaza, our bodies and rooms get crushed. Nothing remains for the soul. Even our souls, they get crushed under the rubble for weeks. Thank you. Thank you so much.
So we can take some questions, and I ask you that you wait until I reach you so that we can hear your question, and also the folks online can hear you. Would you like to begin? Yeah.
Mosab, I've heard you answer this question before, but since you showed those videos and we've all had that experience of hearing what it sounds like to be there, maybe you would talk about Forest of Noise as a title and just talk about that a little bit.
Okay. So I was born in Gaza and in a refugee camp, and then we moved to live in Beit Lahi, a quiet city compared to the refugee camp, because in the refugee camp the houses are just stuck close to each other. You could barely walk between houses. I mean, by the way, they are not houses in the refugee camp. These are rooms roofed by tin sheets or asbestos sheets. But I mean, anyway, it's Israel, as you saw after the second video, I showed a picture. These houses that were bombed, they were in the bomb craters themselves, because they were not houses even. So the life I lived in Gaza was filled with drones, especially drones buzzing sound. That's something that you could hear, whether you are taking a video of your children picking strawberries in the field, whether you are walking between corns in the field. So the drone buzzing sound is something that never left us. But for me, Gaza has turned into a forest of noise, because every bullet hole, every bomb crater, every place in Gaza is filled with noise, the noise of people screaming, people shouting, people whining, people, the sirens of the ambulance, the sound of explosions. They themselves, the sounds themselves create holes, and every hole in the ground is a forest of noise. That's where our screams are hiding. Even our screams themselves are scared of the bombing themselves. So Gaza is a forest of noise that is filled with potholes, bullets or craters, and these things. So the title comes from a poem where every pothole in the street is a forest of noise. And now Gaza is a bigger forest of noise, because people never stopped watering it with bombs, especially bombs from this country. You have lots of bombs here.
Anyone? Yeah. And if you could keep it really close.
Speaking of bombs from this country, has anybody in this administration or any of the candidates or anybody bothered to listen to you at all?
Good question. I haven't been reached out personally. I tried to reach out, not because I want to talk to them or talk to anyone, but at least I tried to reach out through friends to people who have some power. But it turned out to me that no one in this country has any power when it comes to Israel. A few days ago, and I told this to Elaine and the friends upstairs, that my wife's two uncles' houses were bombed 10 days ago. In the Kamal Udwan hospital in Beit Lahia, there is only one surgeon. When Israel invaded Beit Lahia 2 weeks ago, they expelled all the doctors, all the nurses, all the cleaners even. And they even moved out all the ambulances, and they set on fire the last fire truck. So when the bombing happened, my wife's uncle on the spot was killed, along with his wife, Jihan. So my wife's uncle is called Saad Abu Shadr, his wife, Jihan al-Masri, and their 3 daughters. One daughter was married. She was killed with her husband, and their 5 children. And along with that, one of my wife's cousins, Ayman, he was not killed, but his wife was killed and his 3 children. And I reached out to a friend who has some connections. I mean, I did not ask them to bring these people back to life. I asked them if they could just let some ambulances who are just waiting on Abu Sharikh square, just about less than 10 minutes away by ambulance, about 2 minutes by ambulance, just to let the ambulances go to that area. I sent them the coordinates for the location. I sent them a screenshot. I sent them 3 phone numbers of people who could be reached out. Just to let an ambulance and take one of the children, Mahmoud Ayman Abu Shadr, 7 years old. He was the sole survivor in the family. And until this moment, no one got back to me or to my friend about this. We were not asking for a 2-state solution or justice for Palestine. I did not ask for a ceasefire, but I asked if this administration, who has the ability to ship weapons to Israel and move destroyers in the sea to protect an aggressor nation, if they could just send an ambulance, please, just an ambulance to take this boy from the Kamal Udwan hospital, because he was critically, I don't know if he's alive or dead, because there is no phone signal, by the way. So just to take this child from Kamal Udwan hospital, I send them the name of the hospital, and transport him to Al Ahli hospital, where there are more doctors and nurses. No, nothing happened. Why? I'm not asking them again to bring the 31 members of my extended family, 3 of them first cousins, 2 of them with their husband and their children. I did not even talk about this. I just saved a child's life. And they haven't been able to do anything. Because you know what they did? They sent the information to Kogat. This is what my friend told. Kogat is an Israeli governmental body. So they send the information to the Israeli as if they care, as if Israel cares. I'm not asking Israel, I'm asking you as American administration to save the lives of our children, of my students. Why is it very difficult? So I tried. I posted everything. By the way, I also posted on Facebook and on Instagram on October 17th. So about 3 weeks ago, that my aunt Asma, her house where she lives with her husband and her mother-in-law and her father-in-law, about 30 people were in that building, opposite Shadi Abu Ghazala School in Al Fallujah, Jabalia. I posted, and I heard a phone call recorded. It was with one of the family there, and he said that we are besieged, and the quadcopters, if you know, the quadcopters are military drones that have machine guns. They open fire at the people. So I posted that my aunt's house opposite Shadi Abu Ghazala School in Jabalia in Al Fallujah area are besieged by tanks, and there are 31 people in that house. If they could just evacuate them, do anything. My aunt Asma had 5 daughters. 20 hours later, I was in South Africa, so I was traveling back to Syracuse. The house was bombed. 20 hours later, the house was bombed, and one of her daughters was killed, along with 16 other people. One of these 16 people was my grandmother's sister, who I used to call grandma, because my grandmother passed away when I was 7 years old. So I used to visit her and visit my aunt at the same time. Another thing, the bodies of the 16 people are still under the rubble until now. So what else? I mean, this is a question to everyone. What is one thing that the people in Palestine, especially now in Gaza, because things are really horrible, and what is one thing that the Palestinian people did not do to survive? What is one thing that the Palestinian people did not do? So people like my friend Ismail left his house in Beit Lahia and went south. He was killed in the south. I left my house. By the way, I left my house on October 12th, and we went to a house in Jabalia, close to my grandparents' house. And just 4 hours after we moved, a house that was just 70 meters away from us, and I have a video, but I'm not going to show everything. 70 meters away from the house where we moved to was bombed, and 30 people were killed. I did not realize I was very, very close to death. I went out of the house and I saw fire on the house, and my mother and her daughter were clinging from the floor because there were no walls, and no one could see. You know, I could see the bodies of the mother and her daughter through the camera of my phone. I couldn't see them with my own eyes. I could see them because the phone, you know, sheds some light on things. So I started to shout, "Oh, there are people! There are people!" So we moved from our houses to school shelters, and then from school shelters to hospital, and from north to south, and from Rafah, which is south, to Khan Yunis, which is south, and tents get bombed. We wrote poetry, we wrote essays, we talked on NPR, we talked on CNN. I published a book at least. I mean, what is one thing that we failed to do, and you know, to show the world that this was happening has never happened anywhere in the world? Give me one example where people were cut off from electricity, from water, from phone signal, from ambulances, from medicine, from fuel, from water, from life. Give me one example, and where people were posting every day posting. I don't imagine if this was happening to people in the First or Second World War posting, and they didn't have Instagram. But just imagine people in Europe were being bombarded and they were posting to America, "You see, the bombs you send are killing us." Just imagine if people in Germany or in Austria were posting about the atrocities in the concentration camps, and we were just sitting like this. Yeah, let's wait for until the election and see what's going to happen after the election. Why are we waiting? Why? I mean, if there is something that can be done, it should be done now or before. What are you waiting for? So this world failed us. And I'm not sure what this world is expecting from the Palestinian people, because with the life we have been living is not normal. So of course, an abnormal life produces abnormal people, but we kept our humanity. We kept our humanity. We never lost our humanity. And I come here to you. I mean, you can't go to Gaza. Why aren't international journalists allowed to go to Gaza? Who are they scared from? Israel says, "Oh, we can't guarantee your safety." Of course, you are going to kill everyone. Just look at the World Central Kitchen, how they killed them by targeting 3 vehicles. It was not a mistake. I mean, a mistake could be done when you target one vehicle, but 3 vehicles after each other. Where is the Red Cross, by the way? Why are they not working in Gaza? Who is making their job difficult? Why am I calling the Red Cross asking them to rescue my family? And they say, "Oh, we don't have the permit from the Israelis." Why? So it's not about this, and it's the whole world is complicit, but especially this country, because they never stopped sending bombs. It doesn't take them any effort, you know, to press a button and move a destroyer from this country to another, as if saying to Israel, "Whatever you do, don't worry, we are there, we are there." So this world failed us, and I'm so terrified of what would become of the children in Gaza right now, who lost about 2,000 of them are wounded children, no surviving family. What do you expect of children who lost all their families? What do you expect from them? Talking about peace and justice? I'm not sure. I can't tell you what the future is holding for us. But I try my best as a teacher. But I don't guarantee that I will convince these children that, you know, what happened was a war. It's not a war. I wish it were a war. We don't, I mean, just imagine Gaza doesn't have any airports or seaports. Just imagine there is a war in San Francisco and it's besieged and the sea is filled with gunboats and warships and you have no airports and the drones. Even if you want to escape, there is no way. And people talk about Egypt, right? Oh, Egypt is blocking. I mean, Israel has a yes or no on who gets out of Gaza through Egypt, by the way, because everyone's talking about Egypt, because Egypt has a deal with Israel, and unfortunately, but Israel gets to say who leaves and who enters even. For example, my mother managed to leave Gaza in April before Israel occupied Rafah and destroyed everything. But my mother and my ill sister managed, but my father was not approved to leave. Israel did not want my father to leave. So they don't want us to live in Gaza, and they don't want us to live in Gaza when we decide to leave. Because, of course, not everyone wants to leave, because this is our land. They should leave. That's it.
Mosab, I have been following your work for a couple of years now. I stood here in San Francisco, around here, 10 years ago in 2014, shouting for that genocide to stop on Gaza. And I wrote a little poem imagining what would it be after I saw a building, a collapsed building. I thought of all the families that may have lived there, and I wrote that. And on April of last year, I wrote that again, because soon after October 7th, Gaza was gone, and we saw those buildings. I think, as you may see, the sound of this room, the pace of this room is filled with helplessness. And hopelessness, and a whole lot of anger, because this genocide is the worst genocide that has ever happened, like the examples that you just gave. And yet, we all are standing here. We all are probably have got your book. We will go and read it, and we will follow you on Facebook, and we will just continue to pray that may Mosab continue to live. So then he doesn't become another Al-Arir. May his soul be rest in peace. I think here is my question for you. Tomorrow is the election, and you're absolutely right. I'm as hopeless, as angry, as helpless as I possibly could be, not just because I'm from Afghanistan, not just because I'm Muslim, but because I'm a human being. And I have seen what this country and our military industrial complex has done to this world. And yet, I too will go and I will cast my vote tomorrow. But my question for you is that what can we do here, each and every one of us, so we feel a little bit like we have even a tad bit of a power, because we too are just really exhausted. Thank you.
What's your name? What's your name? Nahed. Okay.
Nahid
Oh,
Fatahi.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I recognize you now.
Yes, of course. Yeah.
Thank you, Nahed. Yeah. Thank you so much for your words.
What I mean, this is a very, very difficult question. What people, I mean, you are doing what you are doing. You know what you are doing by protesting and by also amplifying the stories that you are hearing right now, the stories of people who are surviving and who might not survive after today. So sharing the stories, I think, is a priority. What else? I mean, the terrible thing is that this administration, these governments in the world have turned their people useless. I mean, look at you. You are agonizing with us. You have been watching with us. You have been following us. You have been asking and worrying about us when we don't post. So this is something that I believe in. I mean, Israel and the United States are not committing a genocide against us in Gaza, but also a genocide against you as human beings. They are genociding your feelings. You don't feel normal in your lives. Why are they keeping you worry and follow the news? And sometimes you don't go to work. Sometimes you feel sick. They are genociding you. I mean, what is the use of our humanity if we are not able to stop what's happening to other people, be it in Gaza, in the West Bank, in Lebanon, in Syria? I mean, all the wars that America and the West are contributing to. I mean, my only wish, I said that and I say it again, I only wish that the world was ignoring us. No, they are not ignoring us. Not you. I mean, I'm talking about governments. I wish that America was ignoring the Palestinian people. No, they are contributing to the suffering that is inflicted on us for at least 76 years. I mean, why don't this country just mind its business? I mean, this country, you have 10 million square kilometers of land. How big is Gaza? I talk about historic Palestine. It's 27,000 square kilometers. But Gaza itself, it's 360 square kilometers. I mean, what do you need from us? Why? What do you need from us? What is there in Gaza that is not here in the States? You want us? You want Palestinians? You want Gazans? We can give you our love, but just stay away. Go away. I mean, look how far we are from you. I mean, it takes me about 13 hours on the plane to reach my country. What brings you to our country? Not you, طبعا. I mean, what brings you? You have lots of land. You stole a lot of land from Native Americans. And you renamed the cities just like Israel is doing. And by the way, I just noticed that there is a repetition of names of cities and towns because, you have lots of land and, you ran out of land. So you rename the city. So there is Portland in Maine and there is Portland in Oregon. You have lots of land to the extent that you are using the same name more than once. Yani, come on, we are renaming the streets after our martyrs in Gaza. If someone, I have a poem in the first poetry collection, Palestinian streets. If someone is killed in a street, we rename the street after him or her. What is required of you is do nothing. I'm not talking about you, but people in general. Just mind your own business. I wish, of course, because you know that your country is complicit in the genocide. But I mean, I wish that everyone just mind their business, just as they mind their own writing desk or their kitchen. I mean, do you like someone to come from the street and use your kitchen? I mean, you go to your kitchen. If you don't have a kitchen, I can contribute to building a kitchen in Europe. But don't come to my kitchen. I don't want someone to come, not only take my house, but they kill us. So, by the way, there is something that we should keep in mind. I mean, I think that one of the most important things that you as Americans can do is enlightening people. People are, I don't want to say stupid, but people are just ignorant. I mean, tell people here in this country and also in the West that Israel is not only killing Palestinians in Gaza, they are killing refugees. 70% of the population in Gaza are refugees. Me, I am a refugee. Rifat Al-Arir was a refugee. My students were refugees. So they are people who are taught that they have a land to return to, but the world has given up. We have the right to return to our land.
This is guaranteed by the United Nations, which Israel is not respecting, and they are just tearing the charter in front of every country. What is happening here? What is this? So just enlighten people, tell them that Israel is not only killing besieged people, starving people, but they are killing refugees in refugee camps. And there is one dangerous thing that this country, I'm so upset. I mean, what is Israel doing in North Gaza? Because the United States said that, oh, don't worry about the general's plan. You know, the general's plan is about expelling all people from North Gaza. This is the general's plan, evicting everyone and annexing North Gaza, where my home is, where my people are right now, annexing it to Israel. So the United States came and said, no, don't worry. Israel promised us that they are not carrying out this plan. Israel promised you, just like they promised in Rafah. They said that, oh, no, don't worry, America, we are just, carrying out a very limited operation. And you look at the satellite images, and most of Rafah is wiped out. No one is in Rafah right now. Now, the general's plan, what's happening? It's being carried out. Why do you think they expelled doctors and nurses and the cleaners, and they burned the last fire truck in North Gaza? Why? If you were in North Gaza, let's say you have 5 children and they have 10 children, and someone, and you know that there are no doctors in the hospital, no nurses, there is no fire truck, there is no ambulance. What do you do as a family? Oh, let's go to Gaza City because it's better there. So you leave. If you don't leave, they bomb the houses, just like they did with Abu Nasr family, 200 people, and my wife's relatives, about 30 people, 22 of whom relatives of my wife. This is what I mean. They are carrying the plan, and we don't hear anything from the states. They are carrying it. The last time a food truck entered North Gaza, and when I talk about North Gaza, I'm talking about Beit Lahi, Beit Hanun, and Jabali. It's different from Gaza City, which is part of the North, because there are 2 terms that we need to differentiate here. The North compared to the South, because when Israel invaded Gaza after October 7th, they divided the Gaza Strip into 2 parts, the South and the North. The South has 3 governorates of the Gaza Strip: Rafah, Khan Yunis, and Middle Gaza. Middle Gaza has Nsirat, Maghazi, Brej, Zawaida, Brej, ila akhiri. Now, etc. Now, the North has constitutes now of 2 governorates, Gaza City and North Gaza. So North Gaza, the 3 cities in the north, haven't got any food trucks, any drop of water, any medicine, any fuel. They expelled all the doctors from the Kamal Abdul Hospital. All, as I said, I'm repeating myself. What is expected? So let's say there are 100,000 people, which is the number right now. And if this continues, let's say for 3 months, what would happen? Tell me. Genocide. It's a genocide. People are either dying of starvation, dying of disease, or are killed, just like Abu Nasr family, 200 people in one bomb. What's happening? Even if it's not happening, even if it's not a genocide, this leads to a genocide. Because I'm not going to sit here idle and wait. Oh, genocide is about the numbers of people who are getting killed. So let's sit here, and when the number rises to, let's say, half of the population, we would, oh, it's genocide. Oh, we wish we had done something. Genocide is terrible. Why are we waiting until something like this happens? So a blaze of fire should be called a blaze even before the fire catches the whole place. Why do we sit here and wait until there is a big blaze of fire and say, oh, there is a big blaze, let's call the fire truck? So there is something wrong in this world. I don't know, except to say that people need to be enlightened, and they should realize that they are behaving inhumanely. That's it.
I think we have time for one more question. I'm going to try to get to you, and if you can keep this really close so we can hear you.
Hi, Mosab. Thank you.
Hi.
For your poetry and your words. I have no question. I just want to say that the US and Israel are just one cohesive entity committing genocide. It's not that US is enabling Israel. US and Israel are one entity committing genocide. I don't think it's enough to BDS the Zionist entity. USA needs to be BDS. I think every liberal, conservative, they all need to be shamed. They all need to be shamed because ignorance is not an excuse.
Yeah.
That's all I want to say.
Thank you. I mean, thank you. I mean, just imagine, I mean, about ignorance. I mean, God protect every one of you, but I mean, you can't go to Gaza, right? Can you go to Gaza right now? But here we are. I mean, I came to the States after my life was saved. First of all, I was not killed in the airstrike that bombed our 4-story building on October 28th last year. And then I was abducted on November 19th, 3 weeks after that. And I managed to go to Egypt. And then I came to the States last June. And I'm here talking to you. So if you couldn't go to Gaza, I came to you. I came to the States to show you videos and read poems. And if I was, I mean, I don't want to be invited, you know, to talk to officials. But if I had someone who has stories, personal stories and collective stories, I would invite them to talk to me. I would invite them, please show us, tell us what are the hopes of your people. Because how many officials came to Gaza after October 7th? From this country or from Europe? But how many times did Blinken visit Israel? Why? What's wrong with these people? Why? I'm sure they are frightened that Israel would bomb them by mistake, like they did with the World Central Kitchen. But I mean, why haven't anyone come to Gaza? Just to prove that you are 1% human being. 1% only come to Gaza, just, you know, set your foot and take the blessing of the land that was blessed by the blood of its martyrs and go away. Yani, we are not, look, we are not perceived as human beings according to the Israelis and the Americans. Not you, Americans, please. And when we are killed, they say, no, Hamas is lying. You know, the numbers are not real. So we are not recognized as a human beings who exist on our land. And when we die, they say, no, these are Hamas numbers. They are lying. They just want to people to sympathize, you know, with the number of people. Yani, come on. I mean, I have at least I lost 31 members of my extended family. I have their names. I know what they were eating. I know where they live. It's not about numbers. I mean, these are real people. And we see from videos. I mean, people in Gaza, journalists, God protect them. They haven't failed to keep us updated. But why do you think they risk their lives to run after each massacre and document it and then find an internet connection point and post them? They risk their lives because they want you to keep keep updated, in the hope that this government or anyone in this world would care and stop this. It's not something that we are not doing, and then, oh, you know, it's not like, you know, for example, in the massacre, the genocide against the Armenians or the Cambodians or, you know, the Kurds in Iraq. It's not something that was happening and then the people in the outside world, oh, last month there was a massacre and now we are learning about it because of the slow of communication, you know. But here it's live. It's live. I get videos from massacre sites 10 minutes after the massacre was committed, and I post about it. I've been doing this for 13 months, and I need 13 months to tell you about everything. Thank you.
Okay.
Today, Mosab said something that is very simple, but it's what you were asking. It's something about hope. Hope is action, right? Don't lose hope. Thank you, everybody, for coming.